All right, so I'm gonna go ahead and get started. If we have some people coming down, they'll come in during the introduction. But welcome to session number 2 of the day. I don't know if you saw the session earlier, but I might be making some references to some of the things that Ashley mentioned and just reinforcing what he said, or perhaps adding my own thoughts into what he mentioned, because he's talking about from his perspective as a developer. Whereas I am not a developer. Even though I went to college and I did a lot of development, I graduated as a computer engineer, I don't do any code today, which is awesome. I got sick of coding a long time ago. But what I have to do today is to sort of talk about the world that I live in, or the industry that I live in, which is the industry of business solutions. It's completely different than most of the stuff that you hear from Microsoft. And this is not for everybody. I'm going to say that right off the bat. You need to be a special kind of person to sort of succeed in this world, but the kind of people that succeed in this world love it, right? This is not one of those jobs where you go to and it's like, I got this job, man. Like, no, this is, you just love to do this thing. And it's pretty awesome. So today's agenda, pretty straightforward. Introductions. Who am I? Why should you be sitting here to begin with? Number 2, I want to talk about what are business solutions. And I will try not to be vague. Like, for example, you can be a consultant on what? On anything. That sounds like it's super vague, right? Based on the previous presentation. I'm just going to dive specifically into business solution. What do I do? What's my job? So you have an idea of what kind of person you have to be to enjoy that or to get into this industry. And then I want to talk about what kind of careers are available. If you were here for the previous session, I answered a question at the end about, what are the things that you should learn if you want to succeed in this industry? And I said it can be different things because there's different careers available inside of the world of business solutions. So that's what I'm here to talk about to you today. So why am I here? Well, my name is Gus. As I mentioned, I don't know if I mentioned this earlier or not, or if you were at the intro, I am the CEO of Elevate Solutions, a company I started accidentally, I guess, back in 2014. In 2014, I was a solution architect for a large partner, Microsoft Dynamics CRM partner. That's what the Microsoft solution, business solution that I'm going to talk about today is. And I knew they were the second company that I joined and that I helped grow. So I was employee number 7 for that company. By the time I left, there were 55 employees, and the company I worked for before that, I worked for 2 years into that. I was employee number 3, and by the time I left, we were up to like 30. So I figured the third time I want to build it myself. So I went on my own, and I was on my own for almost a year until I hired my first employee, and then I hired another one and another one. We're up to 8 now. So since 2014, we're going to be 4 years old this year. And again, the title of CEO was sort of by default because I started the company. So that's how you get to be a CEO. It's pretty cool. I'm a 6-time Microsoft MVP as well. I received my first award in 2012, and I've received it every year after that. I started working with Dynamics CRM back in 2006. And since then, I've deployed this solution, or I helped companies implement this solution over 200 companies. 200 companies all over the world. So Ashley was talking about earlier about whether if you want to travel, you can travel. That's true. And one of the best tips I think I got when I started working, somebody told me that when you work for a company, there's 2 kinds of positions in a company. One are the positions that cost the company money, and the other one is the positions that make the company money. You will never be really successful and rich, if that's what you want to be, if you work on a position that costs the company money. That's why you will never meet a rich HR person. Like, that just doesn't exist. If you work in customer service, like, thank you for calling Comcast, how can I help you? You will never, drive a Ferrari if that's the kind of success that you're looking for. Now, for a lot of people, money is not success. I think success is when you can get up and really do whatever you want. That is being successful to me. It's not about how much money you have, but it's hard to find that level of success if you're working on a position that costs the company money, right? And most of the positions in IT cost the company money. Most of them. If you're an Exchange administrator, SQL administrator, data scientist, all those things cost companies money. The stuff that I do makes companies money, and that's why it's so much fun. It's completely different, right? I also have a podcast called the CRM MVP podcast. If you're not in CRM and what I do, it's probably boring, right, to listen to it. But I have a lot of fun doing that, just talking about my experience and the things that I've done over the last 11 years or so, or 12 years now. It's going to be in May since I started working with Dynamics CRM. So that's all my contact information. My Twitter handle, Gus Gonzalez 2. Elevate Solutions is the name of our company, where we tweet about not just CRM but also technology and business and all kinds of stuff. And well, that's my email address. If you have any questions, I'll be happy to answer. But enough with the intro. Let's get into the actual content, okay? So let's talk about what are business solutions. So for those of you who have no idea what this means, business solutions are the applications at the companies that make them money. And what makes companies money? When customers buy their stuff. That stuff can be services, that stuff can be products, actual products, devices, whatever it is the company sells. That's what makes the companies money. So business solutions address anything that has to do with customers. My specialty is on the CRM side. Dynamics 365 is the name of Microsoft's version of CRM, right? So I specialize on the CRM side. CRM stands for Customer Relationship Management. That's what CRM stands for. And what that is the solution that deals with anything that has to do with customers. From getting prospects on the door with marketing, right? Whether that is social media, whatever it is, to once you know the prospects that you have, how do you make them customers? Going through that whole process of, okay, they're a lead. They might be interested in what we sell, and putting them through the process, talking about what they need, telling them what you offer, how much is it, negotiating. All of those things are captured in CRM. They're called opportunities in CRM. Once you close an opportunity, the prospect becomes a customer. And all of the customer support, like if they have problems with whatever you sold them, that is also tracked in CRM as a case. So any interaction that we have with customers, emails, phone calls, deals that we close, problems they have, questions they have, ideas. Sometimes customers come up with ideas and say, you guys should work on this. We track ideas in CRM. So anything that is customer facing happens on the CRM side, and that's what I do for a living. ERP stands for Enterprise Resource Planning. The ERP is what is normally called the back office of business solutions. ERP is what deals with fulfilling. Like if you buy something and somebody needs to go in a warehouse and get it off a rack and put it on a box and put a label on it, ship it to you, like Amazon, for example, all of that is handled in ERP. Inventory, the manufacturing process, who's buying what, when do we need to ship it, what trucks are shipping them, what warehouse are we shipping it from. All the boring stuff, how I call it, everything that happens after you complete the sale, essentially when you sell products, happens on the ERP side. You can make a career in ERP as well. And ERP, all the stuff that I'm going to talk about today applies to ERP too. I'm just not an expert in ERP. Okay, I'm just an expert on the customer-facing side of things and the CRM side of things. So Microsoft has a solution called Dynamics 365, which essentially does those two things, CRM and ERP. When you look at the applications that support Dynamics 365, Dynamics 365, by the way, is not an application. It's like saying Microsoft Office. Office is, you don't use Office, you use Word and PowerPoint and Excel, right? With Dynamics 365, it's the same. So you might be a Dynamics 365 solution architect, but what you're implementing are the apps inside of Dynamics 365, like the marketing side and the sales side and the project service, which is essentially for any company where the sales process doesn't end with you closing a deal, project service handles that. So I'll give you an example. My company is a company like that. When a company says, yeah, we'll pay you X amount of money so you help us implement, that's not where the work ends. That's when the work starts. I have to implement it to bill you for it. Or if you're a construction company and you win a project, right? We need to build a school. Do you get paid right away? No, you have to build a school. So that process between closing the deal and actually getting paid is handled by the project service side of it. You can be an expert on just the project service app within Dynamics 365. We also have field service. Field service deals with organizations that have people who are sent to customer sites to do work. Things like DirecTV, for example. When you agree to getting DirecTV in your house, somebody has to come and install the dish and do all of that. that is field service, handling your personnel and the devices they have and the trucks and vans and skills and all of those things. Who goes where, what window, sending the right person with the right skills, with the right tools to the right place, maximizing a route so you're not driving all over town, you're doing all your appointments nearby. That is handled by field service. And field service, you can again be just an expert in field service and do that for your career. There's actually subsets of things inside of these applications that you can specialize in. Like field service has a specialty called connected field service, which deals with IoT or Internet of Things devices. So if you want to install sensors and machines that report things like temperatures and information via the internet and let you know when something is wrong so a technician can be dispatched to take care of it, that is called connected field service, which is just one moving part of field service, which is just one app of Dynamics 365. This world is big. The business solutions world is really big. And obviously we have the finance and operations. If I break this up, it's even bigger. Financials and operations is about, I would say, like 20 times bigger than the CRM side. It's just really, really big. So you can specialize yourself in there. Now, the reason why this session is called Nonstop Growth is because it's true. That's exactly what's happening with business solutions. So when I started working with business solutions in 2006, the CRM market, which is what I specialize on, was $6.5 billion worldwide. That was the size of the industry, okay, back in 2006. And if you fast forward 10 years, that market was 31.8 billion. So it grew from 6.5 billion to 31.8 billion in that time. Now, why did it have that massive growth? Because of cloud computing, right? In order for you to run these systems like CRM and ERP, companies had to spend a lot of money setting up servers and powerful computers to be able to run them. So only the Fortune 500 companies or whatever were able to afford solutions that did CRM and ERP. Once cloud computing came out, it became a lot cheaper to have these solutions, so everyone is jumping in. I mean, I've done implementations for 2-person travel agencies in New York. Like, that's how small companies are to get now solutions that before only companies like Delta Airlines could afford, right? So this world just continues to grow. That was 2006. Last year, 36.5 billion. So it grew almost 5 billion in just 1 year, and is estimated that for 2018 that market will be worth 40 billion. So it continues to grow and continues to grow. And I did some research on how much would it take for that market to even be double the size. It's actually by 2025. So in 2025, the CRM market is estimated to be at $82 billion. I mean, this thing continues to grow. If you think about it, in less than 20 years, it will go from 6 billion to 82 billion. So it just doesn't stop growing. And here's the funny thing about this. When you look at Microsoft got into this market, the business solution market, very, very late. They got into it in 2003. So they've been only at it for 15 years, where there's companies that have been doing it for 25, 30 years. So because of that, their market share is actually very small. If you look at here, Microsoft is the yellow line all the way at the bottom. They're like one of the least adopted CRM and ERP solutions in the world. Now, the interesting line right here to look at is that when I started working with CRM in 2006, that blue line at the top, which is others means proprietary CRM software that people paid a company to develop from scratch, from beginning to end, that was 85%. So 85% of all CRM systems were custom made for every company. They cost a lot of money. That's why only big companies could afford it. Now, companies like Salesforce, which Ashley mentioned, came out in 1999 with their own sort of plug and play. You can just use it, right? It's in the cloud. You pay by the month, like an electricity bill, and it's ready to go. You don't have to pay all of this money up front to create it. They are now the leaders in the market with about 28% market penetration. They own about 28% of the market. Microsoft, it's between 3% and 8%. That's how much they own in the market. The interesting thing about that is that since Microsoft released CRM in 2003, they've had non-stop growth to the point of something like 40-something quarters in a row of double-digit growth. So they run more than 10% every quarter in amount of customers They are just unable to keep up with such high demand. So again, that line at the top used to be 85% when I started. Now in 2016, I couldn't find the numbers for last year. They're still not out yet. But in 2016, look, that line is at 45%. That means that a lot of companies are abandoning the idea of my own custom software that cost me $2 million, instead of going for a built solution by Microsoft like Dynamics 365 or Salesforce or Siebel that he mentioned as well. There are other competitors in the arena, but what I'm saying is, even though there are very, very small market shares, there's thousands and thousands and thousands of companies wanting this thing. And because of that, people who work in this industry, Business Solution actually mentioned that if you choose Salesforce, you get a job like tomorrow. The same is true for Siebel. The same is true for Dynamics 365. This industry is just nonstop. Anyone who wants to do this thing, come at me. Like, we need people to work on this. Now, the interesting thing about the people that work on this is that you have to be special in terms of understanding that even though we work with Microsoft solutions, you're not a technical person. You're not a technical expert. So let me talk a little bit about what I do for a living, right? So just so you have an idea of what what kind of people would be a good fit for the Dynamics 365 industry or for the business solution industry. So when I work with companies, when companies hire companies like mine, or I get to be a solution architect on a project, the first thing I have to do when I work with a company is understand their customer life cycle, right? So for most companies, I'm going to give you the life cycle that applies to every company on every industry on Earth, all right? Every company has this life cycle on Earth, okay? So if you think of a customer life cycle from the point you get them until the point that they become your customer, what's the first stage that a customer will go through on that life cycle? The first stage is called acquisition. You have to acquire the customer somehow. And there are challenges that every company faces when it comes to getting new customers. And we will talk about those challenges in a second. But once they somehow convince this customer that you should do business with me, you should buy the stuff that I sell, not the stuff that these other competitors sell. Once you do that, the next stage is called delivery. That's when you actually provide the services that you sold to the customer, right? And every company in the world goes through this. They get a customer and now they have to provide whatever the customer bought. If you sell them, 10 Microsoft Surface, tablets, you have to send it to them. You have to deliver it. If you're a construction company and they hire you to build a school, you have to build a school. That's part of your delivery portion of it, okay? Once you deliver what the customer bought from you, the last stage on a customer life cycle is called customer retention, sometimes called extension as well, meaning sell more to your customer. Okay, those are the three stages of a life cycle. I have to get my customer, I have to give them what they paid for, and then I want to keep them. I want them to keep using me forever rather than using somebody else, or stop using my products. Okay, so on every one of these stages, companies face challenges. Okay, and I'm going to give you the most common challenges that every company in the world faces on these stages. When it comes to acquisition, today, the biggest problem is the customers are in control. That's the number one problem. What does that mean? Customers know more about your products than you do sometimes. They do their own research. They look at reviews on YouTube and they learn about the products way before you even know they want the product that you sell. How many of you walk into a store like Best Buy or whatever and you don't know what you're going to buy? I mean, I don't remember the last time I did that. Every time I go to a store, I already know what I want, right? And it's estimated that most customers today, regardless of the industry, are about 57% of the buying process into already before you even know they want what you sell. They already know that they want what you sell, okay? In some industries, it's higher. In my case, it's always like 99.9% I'm into the buying process. By the time I reach out to somebody, I know I want that, right? I've done already the research. I saw the unboxing videos on YouTube. I already know that I want that thing, right? So that is a challenge that all companies face in every industry. When it comes to delivery, right? Delivering the services. One challenge that everybody faces is how do we do more with less? We know that we can keep hiring a bunch of people to do more, but can we do more with the people we have? That's a problem the companies have. Because by doing more with people you have, that means you can increase your profit because your salaries that you're paying, are the same, but you're doing more. You're getting more money into the company, right? So doing more with less is a challenge that affects every single company. CEOs are always thinking about how can we do more with the people we have. Number 3, when it comes to customer retention, the biggest problem companies in every industry, in every country faces is differentiation from competitors. How can we keep our customers if we have all these competitors out there that can offer better prices or try to steal our customers away? That is a challenge that every company faces, no matter what you do. There's always a competitor trying to steal it away. So my job is to come into a company, understand their customer life cycle, which will vary depending on industry, right? If you're a construction company, your life cycle will include bidding and other things, right? So once I understand the customer life cycle, my job is to understand what challenges they're having on those stages of the life cycle. And then I get to implement solutions. The solutions that I implement are based on Microsoft solutions, Dynamics 365, Azure, right? We were talking about Azure, SharePoint, Office 365, Microsoft Flow, Power Apps. I don't need to name all the technologies that I use because it's just nomenclature for you. You won't retain it. But the whole idea is your job in the business solutions arena is to translate business outcomes or business results with technology. Companies will come to you and say, we're really struggling to get customers. What can you do to help us with customer acquisition? It's all on you to come up with the solution that will help them do that. So when it comes to customers being in control, for example, a solution that I can implement would be an omni-channel or a transparent solution that customers, since we know that they are going to be researching on their own, since we know they're going to be 57% of the buying process in, why don't we make it easier for them to find stuff about our products, information, reviews, whatever. Let's make it easier than everybody else. Let's make it transparent, right? It's really tough when I go to a website because I'm trying to, build a pool or whatever, and I'm looking at a company and I don't really understand how it works. Like, what is this? Like, how does it work? The companies that are transparent have more success because customers open up to you. And when they open up to you, when they trust you, then you get to offer solutions that are way better than your competitors, right? People like to do business with people they like. So at the same time, with omni-channel solutions, is allowing customers to get information from you however they want, however they feel like it. Is it through the website? Cool. Do they want to call? Do they want to go to a portal, chat with us? Whatever it is, however you guys want to get it, we're going to give it to you because we know that the person that the more information they have, the more chances there are for them to go with you. So the results that you get by implementing solutions like that are solutions like greater level of engagement. Your customers know more about you. They're more open, right? They want to talk to you and give you more information. Okay, now that I understand what you're trying to do, which is solve my business problems, let's focus on business problems. Let me tell you all the things that I have pain with, right? The second thing, higher win rates. Why? Because they can research your products better. Like, how many of you look at one or two different products and end up picking the one that you understand better, that you see the information, you're like, this makes more sense to me, I'm gonna go for that instead. Better forecast accuracy, increase revenue. If more customers pick you, your revenue goes up, you make more money. It's just the way it works. Now on the delivery side, the main solution that I focus on with Dynamics 365 is automation. Automation is my favorite part of working with Dynamics 365. Because by automating tasks that your team does, they have more time to do other stuff, which achieves the whole idea of doing more with less. If you can do more with the employees you have, because now you have a system that does a lot of the stuff automatically for you, then what does that mean? Well, you increase asset utilization. Your people are doing stuff that actually matters that you get paid for, rather than spending 2 hours every week putting together a sales report. The system can do that, right? You get increased productivity. The 40 hours they work every week are now spent on more important tasks. Because of that, you have higher operating margins. What is operating margin? Is how much money you pay versus how much money you get in, right? That's also translated into profits. Now you can do more because systems are doing the work that was done by people before, right? On average, companies that invest in automation, right, see an increase of 8% profits on top of their competitors. So imagine if you make 8% more profit than your competitors. Or if you see it this way, imagine you can make the same profit margins as your competitors, but you can sell at 8% lower price. So something that costs, $1,000 from your competitor will cost $900 when you sell it, and you still make the same amount of money as your competitor. I mean, it's a no-brainer. And by the way, all of these results compound, right? We're talking about the fact that you're implementing solutions that will help you get more customers. Now, once you get those customers, now you're going to be able to deliver with higher margins. So you're getting more customers, and you're operating more efficiently and effectively. That all multiplies or compounds into bigger results. When it comes to retention, and the challenge of differentiating yourself from competitors, one of the things that we do is we enable the system so it can be easier for you to collect data. By collecting data and understanding your customers better, you can now introduce new business models. New business models are things that you can do to solve problems your customers are having before someone else comes up with the idea. Right? So the solutions that we put in place will give you a more efficient way to collect data and to increase reportability. They will accelerate product lifecycle development. Right? The first company that comes out with a solution, it's normally remember more than the third company, right? Like you remember Uber, for example, because they were the first, and then Lyft is sort of out there getting some notoriety, right? But is there a third? Like, I don't even know I'm sure there are other companies that tried, but I don't remember the third, right? So having a solution that will help you identify new business models will help you be first, okay? Because companies are a lot more innovative. And by being first and offering solutions before your competitors, you increase your market share. So you will take customers from other competitors, but they don't take them from you, right? So again, our job inside of Business Solutions is come up with technology that would help you get better at acquiring customers. And once you acquire them, get better at increasing the profit margins, meaning doing more with less. And once you do it more efficiently, get better at retaining your customers and taking them from your competitors. That's what I do for a living, right? For companies all over the world and in every industry. It's pretty awesome. So again, I am a solution architect. Again, the title of CEO is sort of by default, but I identify myself as a solution architect. The solution architect is the person responsible for the solution. So I come in, the customer tells me all their problems, right? And my job is to come up with what solution I can implement that will help them get better at acquiring customers, delivering, and retaining those customers for life, or creating raving fan customers, how we call them. Okay, that's my job. And typically for you to be a solution architect, you have to work to it, right? Because people have to trust that you're going to have a solution, right? When you're young, coming out of college, it's hard to just jump and be a solution architect, right? And it's hard sometimes because I didn't understand, right, when I became a solution architect, why I had to work for 2 years or 3 years as a functional consultant, for example, before I became a solution architect. So I came up, let me see, we have a few minutes for this exercise, so let's just do it really quick. So you guys play along with me. I've done this exercise before. Just so you have a feeling of what customers in which you're working as a business solution expert feel when you out of college or young, right, coming into this world, are trying to tell them how they should change their business so they can get more customers and they can, deliver products better and retain those customers for life. Like I remember working with companies where the guy is like, "What are you talking about? I've been doing this for 30 years. Who are you to tell me, how I can better acquire customers," or whatever it is. So let me show you what that feels. So everybody has a cell phone, right? So go ahead and pull your cell phones out. Let's do this exercise together. Okay, everybody good? So now go ahead and unlock your phone. Okay, all phones unlocked. Pretty good. Now hand your unlocked phone to the person to your left. So you see that feeling of panic a little bit setting in, right? That feeling of panic is what business owners feel when you come in and try to tell them what to do with their business and what solutions to implement. And you have to get around that. Because the feeling that you have right now, you wouldn't have it if you were handing your phone to someone you trust 100%. You'll be like, "Yeah, here's my phone." You look up whatever you need, right? So you can give back the phones. Give it back. It was just a quick exercise so you can get the feeling. What that does is, again, give you the idea of you need to earn trust, right, from your customers. And the best way to earn trust from your customers so they don't feel what you felt when you handed your phone away is by being knowledgeable and showing that the solutions that you're implementing are for the best of the company, right? So a lot of the things that I learned today have nothing to do with technology. I'm all learning about how do salespeople sell? You know, how can I be a better leader, right? So I learn about leadership. I learn about sales. I learn about marketing. I learn about negotiation skills. Like, that's what I want to know, because if I can talk the same language as the business owners that I'm interacting with, that I'm trying to tell them what's the best way for them to acquire customers, I need to be able to speak their language, right? So that's why the person that does this is special, because not only you have to be good with technology and understanding the solutions that Microsoft created, but you have to also talk business. Right? So it's double the amount of work. You need to be a business expert and be able to communicate at the business level, but also know the technology side. Whereas I feel, and there's nothing wrong with the other careers, right, that the guys are talking here about. Dwight's is, you know, pretty interesting, obviously, with all the HoloLens and all that stuff. There's nothing wrong with those careers. They're super exciting. But the one that I work on happens to be one that is super challenging, because business is a 24/7, 365-day-a-year competition. So you have to be on your top game on the business side, and you have to be good with technology too, right? So that's why it's super interesting, and that's why we have 0% unemployment, literally. I don't know anyone that knows Dynamics 365 and can do this job that has no job. I have zero idea of anyone in the world that has no job and knows the stuff that I'm talking about, right? Okay, so what careers are available if you want to go into business solutions? Well, there are several approaches to this, right? And I can sort of bulk them all together into 4 different career types. One is the business development side. That's the BD that is on the top left. And that is when you do sales, all right? But this is not selling like, hi, I'm calling on behalf of whatever. Let me talk to you about CRM. That's not how it works, right? The sales that these people do are, you know, we understand your industry. We understand the issues you're having. Here are the solutions that we can put in place. Do you agree? Do you agree that spending $50,000 in this solution to be able to get you one more deal a month, right, with automation that we're going to put in place, is that worth it? How much is your average deal? Well, we make about $80,000 profit on every deal that we sell because we sell massive tractors or whatever. Well, wouldn't it make sense to invest $50,000 and sell one more deal every month, right? So you're on the sales solution, and when you're in business development, you can do straight up sales, which are typically the people that know all of the technology in the business side, but they don't really implement anything. And then you can do technical solutions, which is you demo the actual product to companies. So you say, this is what yours will look like. Let me show you what your solution will look like. So they're mock-ups. It's sort of like, it's not smoke and mirrors, it's real technology. You're doing the work, but you're not completing the entire solution. You're just showing like a demo, right? It's like when you watch that 30-second Flex Seal commercial, right? Somebody seals a door to the bottom of the boat. I don't know why, right? You watch that and you're like, oh, it looks cool, I'll buy that, right? That's what technical solution guys do. Flex Seal salesperson. Anybody knows what Flex Seal is? Anyway, never mind. Business development. The next thing that you can do is what I do, which is solution architecture. Is my favorite thing, because in solution architecture, again, I actually am the one who takes the business challenges and makes them into actual solutions, right? And I get engaged from the beginning, right? From the time we start talking to a company and understanding their challenges and all of that, the implementation of the solution, all of the development, training of the users, and handoff to support. So I'm involved in the entire project, and I really enjoy that. Now, again, to become a solution architect, you typically start as a functional consultant, which means you work under a solution architect, understanding how they come up with their own solutions, and then you do the work. You create the fields and, you know, create the entities and participate on the training, and you're sort of shadowing a lot of it. And by the time you do like 50 it varies from company to company, but at some point you will earn it. It typically takes about 2 years to become a solution architect. I was a consultant for 6 months until I became a solution architect, but that's because I did other stuff before then. I was a technical lead for 2 years before then, so I sort of earned my way to solution architecture rather quickly, but it typically takes between 1 and 2 years working as a functional consultant under a solution architect to get promoted to solution architect. Does that make sense? And from there, you can become senior solution architect and so on. You can elevate from there, but solution architect is sort of the epitome of the functional side of the picture. And then if you don't like working with people, technical side is always available. Like I mentioned, we had a person who was an intern, right, for our company, and he is a technical consultant. A technical consultant, instead of a functional consultant, are people that deal with the technical aspect of it. So if I need someone to create a plugin that does something, or write some code, or integrate with another database or something like that, I just tell one of my technical architects, hey, I need to bring the whatever data from that database into Dynamics, and they will figure out how to do it. So when it comes to the technical side of the picture, just development and that kind of thing, you have the technical architecture side of it. So you can be just a straight up developer, technical person, and work on business solutions on that regard. And then on the last kind of career that you can have within this industry is as a project manager on the PM side of things. They're typically called engagement managers inside of Dynamics 365 or the business solutions world, but it's essentially the person that controls the entire team participating on an implementation and making sure everybody's delivering on time, everybody's there delivering the functionality whenever it's supposed to be delivered. They control the budget and the hours that are spent, all the moving parts. They don't do the work itself, but they just ensure that the right people is doing the right work at the right time. So that's what we call project managers or engagement managers. Now, I went online and I researched some of these positions, and I pull up the average salaries just so you have an idea of what these people make. Now again, people in these positions, depending on if you travel or not, depending on what company you work for, even depending on where you live. Like if you live in San Francisco or New York, you're probably going to make a lot more money than if you live in Idaho, for example, just because the cost of living is much higher. But on average, right, people that are in these positions, those are the average salaries. So as you can see, 3 out of 4 make 6 figures, which is a pretty good living if you go into that world. Now again, based on your skills, you can make more or less depending on the company you work for or whatnot, but these are not entry-level jobs, and that is because we focus on the side of the business that makes the company money, not on the side of the business that costs the company money.